Welcome to Scoop World Order. Happy Monday. Hope you guys had a great day. It is great to be here. It's glad to have you guys here. Again, basking in the glow from a wonderful Saturday. It was great meeting a lot of you guys. Thank you for all the wonderful text messages, emails, messages on buckeyescoop.com, commenting on how much fun you guys had. Thank you for sharing your photos of the event. It's awesome. Again, if you guys are not on buckeyescoop.com, I don't know what you guys are waiting for because we've got a huge kind of photo section on the entire event on there, and it's really cool. Like again, it's fun getting to know people, and it's like I always say, if you guys like this show, hey, this show's about an hour to 2 hours a day. The rest of the time we're on BuckeyeScoop.com. So I mean, it's a very comprehensive offering if you're on our message board experience, and it's really fun. So I'd love for you guys to join in on that. But wow. What a year Michigan is having off the field. Denard Robinson popped for an OVI. Their head personnel guy takes off for the NFL. Right as the transfer portal opens, ooh boy, not looking good up north. And there's a lot of transfer portal buzz. We're going to get into what is going on inside the Woody Hayes as these next 3 days are commencing. Portal opens tomorrow, and there's already guys dipping their names in. We're going to get into all of that. And we had a couple nice pickups for the basketball team. 7'1" center, 5-star from Kentucky. I'll talk a little bit about that. And we'll take your questions as always. But first, of course, we appreciate you guys supporting the channel. Thank you so much for subscribing. If you enjoy our content, please leave us a like. Those are huge. We had over 1,000 likes on last night's video, so thank you for that. It really helps propel the video up the algorithm, and it recommends it to more people. So when you guys like our video, more Ohio State fans discover this, and turns out a lot of people across the country are following us, not just from the great state of Ohio, but people all over the country who just like college football are discovering this podcast. So thank you for spreading the good word. If you guys have not subscribed yet, please click subscribe. And if you guys enjoy our live shows, click that little alert bell, and you will get an alert every single time we go live. So we appreciate you guys for all you guys do to build this community. Our camaraderie here is second to none. It's all because of you guys. So thank you. Again, it's always great to be here, and it's great to have you guys here. So we appreciate it. So going to get right into it, Nevada. Another bad day for the Big Blue. The Big Blue, they just lost their D-line coach to an OVI. And Denard, Shoelace, the guy that was a quarterback who beat us in 2011, who we beat in 2012 when he moved to running back. He was arrested 3:05 a.m. this morning. So Sunday night, he went out and got lit. And they're not done with spring ball, which is interesting because those guys, they always have their spring game a week after us, which is, I think, stupid because, if you're Jim Harbaugh, or excuse me, Jim Harbaugh, if you're Sharon Moore, you're managing that roster right now, and you've got spring practice this week, and literally kids could hit the portal on Tuesday. So, the way Ryan Day is doing it is the correct way. They got their spring game done about as early as possible. And then you want to get that spring game done before the portal opens because they're having exit meetings at the Woody Hayes this week where every player is meeting with Ryan Day, Coach Mick, and the position coach, kind of getting a grade of where how they did in the winter, how they did in the spring, what's their standing. Because again, a lot of these kids have decisions to make. Not all of them. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of kids that are etched in stone as starters or key backups, or they're climbing the depth chart, and then there's some kids that don't have a road to playing. So where are they at? Do they jump into the portal? So this is a really critical week. So again, I think that Ryan Day does it correctly, gets the spring game done the week before everything happens. And this is something that Urban fixed. Urban did this in 12 where he bumped it up because when we used to do it with Trussell, we'd actually missed the first week of recruiting because our spring ball went so late. And Urban's like, that's asinine, that's stupid. Our coaches need to go get on the road and hit these high schools, and hit spring football in Georgia and something. So they moved the spring game up by about a week or 2 weeks in some cases. And I think it's the right way to do it. But yeah, they just lost their D-line coach, Shinoviai. He got fired, terminated. And, now Denard, I don't know. I mean, I would imagine maybe a similar fate. I don't know if he's going to have more leniency just because he's been there longer. I mean, the D-line coach had been there for about a month and got his third OVI. What are your thoughts on this, Nevada? This is a pretty bad look for Michigan.
Yeah, I mean, has any team ever had a worse offseason than the Michigan Wolverines? I mean, you're talking about, they lose Tom Gamble. Tom Gamble was a guy that many people gave a lot of credit for kind of being the architect. Came in at the head of director of their player player development, and player personnel, whatever title they gave him. But important guy, key guy. He decides to leave for the NFL, goes back, and then within 24 hours, Denard Robinson, the assistant director of player personnel, gets banged for another driving under the influence, whatever you want to call it. I mean, it's been 3 weeks since another Michigan staff member has had a DUI. I mean, you would think that at some point, you'd figure out there's Uber, you figure out that there's Lyft, you figure out that there's something. But Sharon Moore clearly is in over his head. He does not have control of this program. Being a head coach in college football is not easy. It's not easy. It's so much more than X's and O's. It involves, just things like this and personnel decisions and fundraising and NIL and administration and grades and everything else that you can possibly imagine under the sun. And this is just a symptom of a program that is completely off the rails, that is completely out of control. And look at the recruiting. I think right now they're 51st in the country in recruiting. They've got 3 commitments, all from like 3 stars or whatever it is. It's just, it is a slow motion train wreck that we're watching in real time right now. And I'm all about that. I've never seen a defending national champion implode this quickly and so completely. And this is before the NCAA stuff is hit. This is before the real storm gets here. So I have absolutely no idea what's going on up there in Ann Arbor right now, but it's all bad. And if you want to profit off of their bad fortune, and you want to profit off of Michigan being a train wreck and people not fully tuning into how bad it is yet, you have future bets on Michigan. There's a future bet on them, 9.5 regular season wins, take the under. There's a future bet on Michigan versus Texas in week 2. Texas is only a 2.5 point favorite. Take Texas. Michigan they're bad. They're bad, and it's a bad program, and it's going the wrong way, and nothing is going right for them. Every possible thing that's going to go wrong for a program is going wrong. And they're going to pay the price. It's that the world does not work in college football, that everything can go wrong for you, that recruiting can go off, that you can do nothing in the transfer portal, that you can lose all your key guys, and then you come back the next year and have a great season. It's just not how it works. That's not the formula. That's not the path to success. And Michigan's going to have a bad year. You as listeners can benefit from it. I'm giving you free money. Sometimes from here, we hand out free money to you. We make you wealthier. And this is a free show. Like, you're like, wait a second, I'm going to watch the show for free, and Nevadabuck is going to hand out free money. I tried to hand you free money on Jim Harbaugh to charge at plus 350. I am giving you free money again. Bet Michigan under 9.5 regular season wins. Bet Texas against them in week 2 on the future bet, because Michigan is a train wreck, and it's only going to get worse from here.
Yeah, I think that it's really difficult to repeat. That's something that we've seen. Obviously, we saw it with the 03 team at Ohio State, in the last 20-ish, 30-ish, 25-ish years. Like, the 03 team couldn't do it. The 15 team that was more talented than the 14 Ohio State team, they couldn't do it. And it wasn't because of a lack of talent. It was just a lack of focus, And this Michigan team, they got to the mountaintop last year, so they become the mountain. So they're the team that everyone's going to be gunning for, regardless of Jim Harbaugh being gone, regardless of J.J. McCarthy being gone. They're still the defending national champions. So sometimes, guys can't handle success. And you've seen this offseason. And then you also have the impending avalanche that the NCAA is going to hit them with. So between both of those, I mean, I can't believe that a coach would be dumb enough to get split and get an OVI when he literally just saw one of the other staff members get fired for it. Because these are good jobs. I mean, Denard's making probably, I imagine, $150 or $200,000, making a couple $100,000 to be assistant player personnel guy, a guy that, as long as he doesn't screw up, they're not going to fire him. I mean, he's always going to have a job at Michigan unless he screws up like this. And so this is a fascinating case study of watching a train fly off the cliff, essentially, like the old westerns where it says stop and the train just barrels through the thing, goes flying off the cliff. Like that's what this looks like. Um, their top personnel guy, you mentioned Tom Gamble, he takes off literally as the portal's opening. And I'm just like, could you pick a worse time to jump ship? And again, I think that shows a lack of respect for the program. I think the biggest thing it shows is a lack of confidence in Sharon Moore. Because when every single coach leaves, and they could have stayed at Michigan. They already, Ann Arbor. Again, I've never lived there, but you look at Forbes and they rank the top places in the country to live, and Ann Arbor is like one of the top places, and so family life's good. They won the Natty last year. There's a big salary pool there for those guys, and so these guys still said, screw it, we're gonna uproot everything, move to Los Angeles or Seattle as Jay Harbaugh did, or just basically anywhere but here. And I think it shows a lack of confidence in Sean Moore. And again, I read tea leaves very well, so do you, Nevada. I think they know what's coming from the NCAA, and I think it's going to be horrific. And they're getting out while the getting's good. That's why all these kids went pro. And again, I still think they're going to lose some good players in the portal because, like they know they're not going to be good this year. And people that think they're going to be good this year, I think are crazy. Again, when you have to replace, and again, forget it's Michigan. Just imagine that it's Team X, because this isn't me being Kirk, the Ohio State guy, Wolverine hater dude. This is literally like, if you have to replace, and again, a lot of you guys that came to the thing on Saturday, Phil Steele is a great, great friend, and he's an excellent person. He's been on the show multiple times. Phil Steele, one of the big indicators that he always goes through when he's doing his preseason top 25 is returning cumulative offensive line starts. Right now for Michigan, that's 0. And returning quarterback starts, which is also 0. So that puts them probably dead last in 1A, probably 130th, because I can't imagine that you can have anyone who's got more there. And again, I apologize if I'm wrong, if somebody made one start in their career or something, but they lost all 5 starting offensive linemen and their starting quarterback, who's probably going to end up being a top 5 NFL draft pick. So, that's a lot to replace on top of one of the top 3 or 4 head coaches in all of college football and one of the top 3 or 4 strength coaches in all of college football, and basically, like 9 other coaches on that staff. So that is a lot to replace, along with, any guy that could leave early left. The only reason that Colson Loveland and some of those guys are back is because they weren't draft eligible. He's a true sophomore. Everyone else that could dipped out. So I think it's going to be spectacular seeing how this thing hits the side of the mountain. And I'm here for it, and I love it. And it'll be really interesting to see when this portal opens up what these guys do, because their NIL is not strong. Are they going to try to backfill the roster? Are they going to lose guys? It'll be fascinating to watch these guys as much as any team in college football. Nevada, where does Michigan go from here?
Well, back to where they've been for a long time, which is, down to mediocrity. And, other than the Harbaugh cheating, people have to remember how bad they were. When they tapped out of the 2020 COVID game, that was because they were going to get beat by 80 points. And they knew that. They were so bad that they literally didn't play a game because they were so worried about getting embarrassed by Ohio State. That's how far they were behind. And, the cheating and having the 5th and 6th year guys kind of helped them catch up. And they kind of caught the perfect storm. Last year was not a great year for college football. I submit that the Wolverines were the weakest national champion since BYU. I think that was in '84, and they won. And I do believe that there's a very real chance that title will be vacated. But for right now, we'll recognize them as the pending. We'll put it with an asterisk, the pending national champion. But where's the bump? Where's the recruiting bump? Where's the transfer bump? Where's the staffing bump? Where's the any bump? Their recruiting right now is worse than it's ever been. Their staff is terrible, and they're not getting transfers. Who's going to transfer there? If you're transferring to Michigan, then you're not a top-notch guy. You're not a grade A guy. And as you said, their NIL is not exactly killing it. And so I really believe that they're headed to media. I believe they're going to be Michigan State. They'll be Purdue. They'll be Iowa. They won't be even in Wisconsin's right. I mean, I think that's where they're at. They're kind of that mid-tier Big Ten team, and I think that won't change until they fire Sharon Moore, which inevitably they're going to do. Sharon Moore, over under Sharon Moore 3 years, and I'm taking the under. He'll get fired. He'll get run out of town. And if they get a real head coach, then they might have a chance to put the thing back together within the next 8 to 10 years. But as long as Sharon Moore and a coach has got literally no head coaching experience stepping into the Michigan job, and good luck with that. I mean, if you're doing that and you lose the strength coach, you lose everybody else on the staff. Just bad things happen. We've seen this before. Michigan would have to be the outlier of outliers for there to be anything other than just treacherous waters ahead of them, and that's without us even discussing the NCAA stuff. That's putting that all aside, assuming that's just a nothing burger. Yeah, and Michigan's headed to mediocrity. Now, when they get hit with the NCAA storm, I think it's going to be really, really bad. And I can't wait. It can't happen to a better group, a more deserving fan base than them. And today the Denard Robinson thing is just so predictable. Could you set the over under of 1 month? Could they go without another driving under the influence thing for their staff, and they didn't make it. They went. So under bettors, head to the window. We got to pay you off. Michigan could not make it a full month without another driving infraction by their staff, and another day, another felony for Michigan football. And, hey, it is what it is.
It's crazy. So Tom Gamble, he's their director of player personnel. So I don't think that's their Pantoni, but he's probably the guy that's right under their Pantoni. Pantoni is the GM. When he first got to Ohio State, that was his title, director of player personnel. But now our personnel department went from literally one person to probably like 20 people now. So I assume Michigan probably has something similar, but this is probably the number 2 guy. So I'd be alarmed if all of a sudden my number 2 guy left when, you got to be ready to hit this portal, man. This portal is going to open tomorrow. Some kids are already throwing their names in there. Obviously for us, we've lost Alan Hayden. I'm sure we'll lose more players tomorrow. But I'm sure that we'll be shopping too. I think there's going to be some guys that'll be interested in coming here, and if there's a guy that fits, then I think we're going to entertain it. But I like where we're at. Again, I gave the game another watch today. I talked to a ton of people today. This roster is deep. The players are going through the rigmarole right now, where over the next 3 days, every player is meeting with Ryan Day, Mickey Marotti, and their position coach, and it's basically, it was this or this in the spring. Here's what you need to work on. Here's where you stand. Because some of these, again, I think when you're in these situations, when you're running these meetings, if you're Ryan Day, Mickey Marotti, or whoever your position coach is, honesty is the best way to do it. And to say, hey, look, you're on the right track, you're off track, or you're never going to play here. And that's, I think that, it's a double-edged sword, but I think that, when you're honest with these kids, because again, these parents want to know where they're at. These parents want to know if they should jump in the portal. And again, I think that, the kids that will lose are going to be guys that frankly will never play here, kids that don't want to play here. And I think that there's some kids, frankly, that you got to kind of maintain and clean up the bottom of the roster, because there's some guys that don't love football anymore. There's some guys that are older. They've figured out that they're not going to have that NFL career, or they're not going to be contributors on the team. They maybe got bumped down to 3rd string. They might have been 1st, 2nd string, maybe in the last couple of years, and now they're down kind of at the bottom of the roster. And, for some of those guys, it's probably time to move on. And again, there's no shame in that. Again, that's not me not trying to denigrate anybody or talk down on people, but, there's a certain level where, hey, it might be better if you moved on and we could get someone here that could help us this year. So, but, Ryan's not going to force anybody out the door, but some of these kids, that think that they've got a higher opinion of themselves than in reality, like, that meeting with Mickey Marotti is either going to be great or it's going to be terrible. And I mean, I'm just telling you, like, I've seen guys that get on the wrong side of Mick, and that is not fun. Then I see guys that slack and, they're lacking in the classroom and on the practice field, and that's not fun to their position coach. And then, Ryan Day's got to hammer it all home, and Ryan, I think he's managed this roster beautifully. I thought he started managing it really well in early December after Michigan. Obviously, we didn't go to the Big Ten championship, and he had to do the same deal when that portal opened, and Kyle McCord jumped in and kids want to know, well, what's my NIL money and how much can I get? And Ryan said, nope, nobody gets any money until after the bowl game. And then, we go through the bowl game, which was a disaster. And then, he comes back and he rebuilds his roster and literally has the best offseason in Ohio State history. So Ryan has been, hitting all the high notes ever since, really since after the Michigan loss. Again, I know people are bent about the bowl game. I couldn't care less about the bowl game where, we don't have our starting quarterback and we don't have, it's just like any of these other bowl games where, kids opt out or whatever. Like when McCord opted out and, whatever we were doing with Matt Jones playing center, I knew we were up the creek and it just doesn't matter to me. So then we come back, we get Caleb Downs, we get Will Howard, we get Quinshon Judkins, we get all these seniors to come back, we get Chip Kelly. I mean, it's the best offseason in the history of Ohio State football. And so I'm really excited about it. And now, what could be the cherry on top? If we find a couple of guys in the portal that could help us win a national title, which again, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I know that these guys are going to be looking. And I know that there's going to be some roster management where we're going to clean up some guys that maybe aren't going to play. Because again, we're going to have guys into the portal. That's just the new reality of it. But that's not all bad. It's like when you can trim some of the fat off of the roster and bring in some really good players, I think that it does nothing but heighten our ability to win at the highest level. Nevada, how excited are you or reticent are you for the next 6-7 days as the portal opens tomorrow?
I'm definitely excited. I mean, I'm excited because Ohio State's going to be a buyer in the portal. They're going to be shopping to see if they can upgrade. Yeah, inevitably, some guys from Ohio State are going to go into the portal, but I do not believe it'll be anybody of consequence. I mean, look, everybody on the roster is important. Everybody you'd like to keep, but I don't see anybody that was going to be a contributor this year that's portal bound. Now, could it happen? Sure. I mean, look, in 2024, you never say never on anything involving recruiting, portal, transfer, whatever. It's all fair game. But I haven't heard anything that's given me immediate concern. And I know Ohio State's looking to be a buyer. And if somebody comes in that's an upgrade, they're going to go after it. And I that to me is really, really exciting because so many kids are going to be coming in. This is the first time you've ever had kind of unfettered access between the players, the schools, and the collectives without any NCAA oversight or restriction. It's kind of like that Netflix series where they have the prison where they like opened all the doors and let the inmates kind of just run out and kind of run the thing. I'm only in season or episode 2, so I don't know how that thing ends. But I kind of feel like that's how it is with now. They're just kind of throwing open the doors and they're like, hey, let's just kind of see what happens. And I'm not sure how this is going to end, but it's going to be exciting. And, in that case, you want to be the guy with the money because you want to be a buyer. And there's going to be a lot of things that are on sale. So I'm excited about about this portal period. And I think it's going to be must see TV for sure. So I'm going to be here for it. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think it's going to be awesome. I'm excited about it. And we figured out NIL. They're doing events nonstop for NIL. I think that, when you land Caleb Downs and J.J. Smith and Will Howard and, Seth McLaughlin, I mean, we're hitting a lot of home runs. A lot of those guys are going to be taking the first half against Akron. And I think it's going to be exciting to see who else we can get because there's going to be some guys that, again, there was late transition. Obviously, Boston College is one to watch with Bill O'Brien. Do guys want to go chase a national championship? Because again, in reality, there's 10 teams in the country this year that can win a national title. That's it. The rest of the kids are just playing for whatever, for the old alma mater. But there's about 10 teams that can actually win the thing. It's us, Georgia, Oregon, the usual suspects. I mean, you could take 10 teams and everyone else could have the field, and the field almost never wins. So I'm excited to see what they could do, and it's going to be. It's not like Christmas Day tomorrow, but it's going to be exciting to see who's moving. Dallin Hayden was obviously the first one. Dallin, again, I've never seen a kid get treated more poorly than Dallin Hayden. And again, did we miss them on Saturday? No. But did I think what they did to him was wrong? Yes. I thought Tony Alford mismanaged that in spectacularly poor fashion. In a way, only Tony Alford could. The guy that didn't play Trey Sermon until he had to, or Trey Henderson, and holy cow, it's absolutely crazy. We have a ton of super chats pouring in. Any thoughts, Nevada, before we hit these super chats?
No, just it's like I said, it's gonna be fun, and I think for Ohio State, they've done a great job in the collective so far. They've done a great job in terms of managing their money. You and I've talked many times. We hope that they don't experience donor fatigue, because that's going to become a real thing at some point in the future. But I think Ohio State fans realize 2024 is the year. I was looking at a futures bet. There's another futures bet. You can bet Ohio State at -500 to make the playoff, and I'm like, isn't that
Seriously?
a virtual, yeah, like a virtual certainty to make the
To
playoffs?
finish in the top 12?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like, that's a 20% return on your money to make the top 12, and I'm like, I feel like I'm missing something, because I'm definitely I'm gonna max bet that for sure as well. So handing out free money to everybody today.
That is a bet. I mean, because again, there was that graph that said if there was a 12-team playoff since the inception of the college football playoff in 2014, Ohio State literally would have made it every single year. And this is the strongest roster we've ever had, and the schedule isn't exactly like daunting outside of the Oregon game. I mean, this is a bad this Michigan team is going to be decrepit by the time we run into them. So, yeah, wow, that's a strong bet. All right, we'll start these up. We got Tony Turley, my man, Scoop Ultra member, Scoop Hall of Famer. We missed you on Saturday. A lot of people were asking about you. Thank you for the 20, my friend. 3:05 a.m. crashed his car, and presumably in Ann Arbor. Trust me, no plea bargain it down to reckless op for shoeless Huxtable. Nevada OH.
I-O.
Yeah, I think it was a single car wreck, which, I mean, I don't understand if it was, I don't know if it was like today, like it was like he went out Sunday night, 3:05 a.m., but it's pretty late for a work day if it was. Yeah, again, it's a bad situation. And again, the thing that's crazy to me is like he did it after, literally right after they had the guy get whacked for doing it, the D-line coach. Like you'd think you'd be on like red alert at that point and not screwing up. But I don't know, Nevada. We've talked at length about that. Any other thoughts on our boy Shoelace?
Well, just look, I tell my kids, I gave them when they were turned 16 or 17 years old. I put the Uber and Lyft apps on their phone, and I'm like, look, I will never be mad at you for deciding to not drive in a situation where either you or somebody else, is impaired. So just take a Lyft, take an Uber, or whatever it is. And I can't believe. I mean, look, I know Michigan, players and staff and fans are stupid, but like, how stupid do you have to be driving at 3:05, 3 weeks after Scruggs gets run by Moore for his thing? And this is not the first time that Shoelace has been involved in some sort of like this. He's been involved in multiple of these, and so I mean, Sharon Moore, the program is completely out of control. Denard Robinson is an idiot, and he'll get fired, and then we'll go on another way. We'll set the over under at 6 weeks before the next Michigan staff member gets hit with another driving under the influence, and we'll see where the bets fall.
It's a wild spring up there. Shof Steel Workshop, what's up, brother? Thank you for the deuce. Thanks for being an Ultra member as well. Appreciate you, my man. So I've been active here. Go Bucks, Nevada OH.
I-O.
Shof, I always have your knife nearby just in case I need to scratch my back. So it is always ready to go. It is a railroad tie. If you guys don't follow our guy, Shof Steel Workshop on Facebook, please follow him. And also download Andy Joe Taylor's album on Apple Music and Spotify. Do that, please. Help out our Scoop friends and any of you other guys that have cool stuff to support, like Jeremy Moreland, who is going to we're going to sell the Jeremy Cup, I called it, which Doreen was throwing a fit because she's like, I want the cup. Jeremy, we got to get her the cup or Doreen's going to kill us. But she wants the Jeremy Cup. She's excited about the Jeremy Cup. I talked about the Jeremy Cup. We are going to get you guys the Jeremy Cup. Again, Doreen, you're the absolute best because she's like put it on Twitter and she's tagging us, and she says, I want this cup. We're going to do this cup. And I was like, well, looks like we're going to be selling these cups, because I will say they are very, very nice cups. Doreen, I'm cropping your tweet and putting it up on the show because, again, you got everyone's attention. You got everybody else stirred up like always, which is great. So she literally is like, I want a cup. Tired of not having the Jeremy cup. So guess what? We're going to sell the Jeremy cups. Me and Jeremy are going to work on how to do this. So Jeremy, I appreciate you, my man. Again, thank you for the 5. News alert. Tony Alford went to Michigan. Yeah, he did. He's a turd sandwich, but hey, it's fine. We're not going to miss old Tony. Nobody missed Tony. Everyone's like, oh my God, how's the team going to function without Tony Alford? But the Jeremy Cup is very strong. And again, it has, we were debating if Nevada, when we do these, should we have the corrected C logo or the uncorrected C logo? That was the big question.
I think it should be like I'm a coin collector. As people know, I'm a baseball card collector, coin collector. And I think, the some of the most valuable cards and most valuable coins are like the air cards, or air coinage. And so we should probably have like a run where we have them corrected, but then we have like one Nevadabuck air mug. And that way we create some sort of inherent value by having who gets the air mug. So that's my idea of the day. It's a big idea. It's a gigantic cup idea. And I literally just came up with that as we're sitting. My mind is like this wellspring of these grand ideas. And I just came up with that literally as we're talking.
You're like Rain Man, kind of.
I am like Rain Man.
So, Jeremy, I'll get with you on that. That's going to be absolutely awesome. But the cup is fantastic. It was cool you were rocking it at the outing, making everybody jealous. So next time I might have to have you bring a bunch of those, and we'll sell them on the spot. Shot Clock Todd, thank you for the 5. How much warning do these kids give the coaches if they're hitting the portal? This is a great question. Do the coaches help them? Well, I think it's pretty sudden. Like, I don't think that there was a lot of warning for Dallin Hayden. Like, I think he just was like, saw the writing on the wall. Last year, they promised him he'd start a game. He never started a game. I mean, he played less last year than he did the year before, which is crazy. Even after he played great as a freshman in that Maryland game, saved our bacon. I think I think it depends on what the situation is. If a guy's disgruntled, if a guy's feels like he's not getting his love or his burn, he probably just is out the door. If a guy just isn't good enough to play at Ohio State, I think the coaches are probably a lot more apt to help him, because I don't think that they're going to be worried about him coming back. Like, I don't know how much Brian Hartline helped Julian Fleming go to Penn State when we have to go play at Penn State this year. We're going to see Julian Fleming. And by the way, Penn State's top receiver just jumped into the portal. So Julian's probably going to be their number 1 receiver, I'd imagine. But I mean, with him and Drew Aller, they both stink. So it kind of is what it is at this point. And again, nobody on Saturday, nobody's like, oh my God, what could we do if we had Julian Fleming? Because again, when a guy walks out the door at Ohio State, he usually gets replaced with somebody better or close to better. Not always, but we've lost again. So I always tell people about Ohio State. People are like, oh my God, how are we going to survive losing this guy or this coach? I'm like, well, we lost Woody Hayes. We lost Jim Tressel. We lost Urban Meyer. We've lost hundreds of incredible NFL, Joey Bosa, Nick Bosa, Ezekiel Elliott, and somehow magically we still remain really good. Orlando Pace. Magically, we still put out first rounders at left tackle like Taylor Decker and Paris Johnson. So there's always someone coming on deck, So that's like the thing is it's not like, oh God, the program is going to stop because we lost anybody. If we can survive losing Woody Hayes, then we can or Paul Brown or whoever, then we can survive losing somebody in the portal. But I think, most of these kids, I don't think that they want to give a warning, because I don't think that they're sure they want to leave until they figure out where they want to go. And again, I tell these kids, and I'm like, look, if I was in your shoes and I was really considering portaling, I would be 1,000,000,000% sure of where I was going to go before I got in the portal. I would do the tampering. I'd have my high school coach reach out to the coach I want to go to, and I'd say, look, I want to come to Oklahoma or Georgia or Florida State, wherever. And do you have a spot for me? Would you take me? Because if you do, I'll jump in here and I'm coming. But otherwise, I'm not just going to jump in there blindly, like I'm jumping off the top of a building and hoping that I hit water, but that's what some of these guys do. They jump in there and then all of a sudden they realize they're not the belle of the ball anymore. They're not, there's like this love. I think that some of these kids have this false sense of self where, like Peyton Kirkland is a perfect example. He's from IMG, 350-pound guard. Was a kid that favored Ohio State for a point, ended up going to Texas. I don't think we have interest in him, but he flamed out at Texas. He didn't do anything at Texas. He was a 4-star. Is he still a 4-star? Has he gotten fatter? He's a weight guy. Obviously, if you're 350, that's way too heavy to play anything. Would we be interested in him? I'm like, God, I don't know. I mean, if he can't play at Texas, why would you think that he'd be able to play at Ohio State? I mean, he didn't do anything there for the year that he was there. But like I think some of these guys, they get in the portal, they think that it's going to be the same amount of love that it was when they were in high school, and a lot of times that's not the case. I'm sure that they'll evaluate them and try to find whatever old film they have of them. But if I'm Justin Fry and Mike Cellini and Mark Piantoni and Ryan Day and Mickey Marotti, if that kid comes to visit here, the first and only thing I'm doing with that kid is I'm putting him on a scale. So jump on the scale, big dog. And when that thing says like 398 or 375 or something, I'm like, yeah, you might want to make your way on down the road to Arkansas or somewhere that's lesser than Ohio State, because that's kind of how I'd go. But I don't think they get a lot of warning. But I think that, again, it depends on the kid. If the kid's an idiot, if a kid doesn't finish the school, here's what the kids can do that can hurt Ohio State. If kids don't finish out their classes or they act like idiots on the way out the door, and it affects Ohio State's APR rating, which is, it's like the academic performance rating. APR is really important for sports. And a lot of these coaches have bonuses tied to APR. If they skip out and they don't finish their classes or they don't graduate or they don't do whatever, like those coaches are absolutely not going to help. I promise you. But what are your thoughts, Nevada? Do you, Shot Clock Todd asked, and this is a great question. I appreciate this one. How much warning do you believe these kids give the coaches when they're hitting the portal? And do you think the coaches help them?
I mean, in recent past, it's been very little warning because, you think about just the nature of what you're saying. You're saying you're leaving the school, and, it's kind of like ending a relationship. Generally, those things end rather abruptly, with some sort of a bang rather than a whimper. And I think with Ohio State in recent past, it's just been kind of like, hey, we're leaving. That's the way it's going to be going. And, most of the players now, because representation it used to be verboten. It used to be if you signed with an agent, that was immediately grounds for disqualification. I think that was the grounds by which Chris Carter lost his senior year at Ohio State. Now they all have agents. They all have agents because of NIL representation, and the agents can talk to whomever. So whether you want to use your high school coach or a friend of a friend or a mentor or your agent, you can always kind of put it out there and at least get a sense for what the market is. But, a lot of kids, they might not get buying signals, but they feel like they will, or they buy into the promises. And like I said, they jump and then they don't have a place to land. And that's kind of the downside to the transfer portal that a lot of people don't talk about. Now, Ohio State kids that are jumping, you're jumping from the highest possible cliff. So they'll find somewhere to play. But it's the Ohio State coaches aren't spending a lot of time, arranging transfers for these kids. That's usually handled by outside parties. And I know Ohio State's monitoring some of the situation really carefully right now because Ohio State's on pins and needles about a few kids. They don't want to lose. And, hopefully they don't. Hopefully these kids see a path to the field. They want to be part of a national championship team. Want to be part of the program as it is. Continue to build and go forward. And hopefully we have an uneventful portal season, and hopefully it's very eventful for other teams. And but it's going to be exciting either way. So let's go.
I agree. Yeah, I think it was the commissioner of the SEC that talked about what the portal like 50% of the kids that go into it never find a home. So they just go off into the ether. Because again, it's a weird deal, man. Like I said, I'm not jumping into that thing. The only way, like I said, I would jump if I knew there was no shot I could play. And the coaches said, hey, or there's a change in coaching staff where all of a sudden, they kind of disregard you. Again, I've seen it. Like I've seen kids where I was like, there's no chance this kid's ever going to play here. And honestly, like I respect the kids a lot more that transfer out and go try to play somewhere than kids that just soak up a scholarship and are just minimalist. Because again, I played with guys that were minimalist. They did as little as possible. They obviously showed up to the workouts on time. They went to class. They didn't give Ohio State a reason to kick them off the team, but they never did anything to like improve and actually help the team. And again, like I hated those kids worse than than kids that played for Michigan. Like kids that were on my own team that just wanted to just not help do anything, not help out. Because like I'm like, guys, like we're out here dying, like killing it. It'd be great if you guys could kick in and do some stuff, like get on field goal protection, spell some of our D linemen, and guys would just try to do as little as possible. And they knew it. They were just kind of gaming the system. And again, with the new portal, you get to flush those guys off the roster. And like, I think it's great because all I want are guys that have a single focus of wanting to be great and be team players. And again, that's not everybody. There's some guys. I played with a guy named Tyler Whaley, who's from Ironton, Ohio, who was one of the toughest human beings I've ever been around. He was 5'9". He was a center. He moved to fullback his senior year. That kid physically couldn't play center at a Big Ten level. He probably could have, but he never. If Jim Bowman starts a 5'10" center in the Big Ten, he's gonna get fired because the fan base will go ballistic. But like he was a good player, and he moved to fullback, and he played against Michigan our senior year as a blocking fullback. He was like a battering ram, but like that kid was a kid that I have more respect for than almost anybody I played for because Tank was a kid that did everything he could to chip in and help out and be part of the team and contribute, and he found a way. Like he literally lost 30 pounds to become a fullback from being a center his whole life. So again, it's not everybody, but there's some guys, not everybody has like the certain requisite level of talent, especially some of the walk-ons, but as long as they work hard, I was fine with them. But I had too many guys that just didn't work. And I was like, oh my God, I wish we could get rid of you. And that was my favorite thing about Urban is he got rid of those guys. And I was like, oh, music to my ears. Let's just get nothing but like, because again, like if you're not going to work hard, then we don't really have any need for you at Ohio State. Show of Steelwork Shop. Thank you for being an ultra member. Thank you for the deuce. Hit the like and remember Michigan still sucks. And again, support my boy Shof on his Facebook stream. He's on there streaming all the time. He's building a sword for Devin, aka Ohio 7715. So what's cooler than a guy building you a sword? This is like some Game of Thrones stuff. So appreciate you, Shof, as always, brother, and thank you for being on here. Schmidbauer, my dude, Chris Schmidbauer, thank you for the 5. Kirk, was your favorite manager at OSU? Schmidt, you're up there, man. But Dax was great. Dax Class-Edel was great. God, there's a ton of you guys that were really good. Ross, oh my God, Ross was hilarious. Ross used to bring us Mentos, and sometimes he'd bring me and TJ Advil when we had a long night. So he's up there. He was the O-line guy there, so he's good. He gets a little more love. But you guys were all awesome, dude. Again, the managers at Ohio State are kind of the thankless guys. It's funny, Quinn Temple, who's now he's like the chief of staff, or he's some stupid title now, but Quinn used to be a manager. Like when I worked there and I was a GA, and like I always treated Quinn great. Quinn, I always, those kids work really hard. I don't even know if you guys get paid. I think you guys make beans, and you guys are working 60 hours a week, and like those guys are just awesome. They're part of the team. I always treated those guys and the trainers really well, just because again, they're out there just as much as we are. Now they're not getting their brains beat in, but they still got to be out there sweating like hogs out in the sun and setting up drills, and they got to deal with some douchebag coaches and douchebag players. So I tried not to be one of those guys. So Schmitty, I appreciate you, bro. Again, you guys are a huge part of everything. It was funny because I remember Yegley became an IT guy, which was hilarious because I was like, you don't know anything about computers, but they gave him like the password to like the Google Calendar or something. I was like, that's what makes you an IT guy at Ohio State. It's like, that's a pretty low bar. But Schmitty, I appreciate you, man. Seriously though, Julian had issues with the win on Saturday. Does the weight room fix that? Or more too? Yeah, I mean, I think just naturally getting bigger and stronger helps you, throw harder. Obviously, he's like a kid. I mean, he's a guy that looks like a little kid. Like Jeremiah Smith looks like he's like, 28 years old, and then like Julian Saint looks like he's 14. So it's like, not everybody gets hit by the puberty fairy the way JJ Smith did. So I think Julian, I don't think he's ever gonna have a howitzer, but I think his arm's gonna get stronger. But again, I I love conditions. Like I love the wind because we live in the softest world in society of all time. The fact that our athletic director is talking about us playing in Indianapolis in a dome for a home playoff game, and I'm like, well, what happens if it's just a little bit windy? Does that mean that we can't run hitch routes anymore because our guys are too soft and they can't throw the ball anymore? Or does it mean that we have to run the football because it's too windy to throw it? So again, weather can happen any time of the year. You know, we could go play a game in the South. Like we played NC State the one year and it was pouring rain and couldn't really throw it that well. So you had to run it. And I think that you just have to be ready for whatever, which in general, when the weather gets atrocious, it's time to become physical and run the football. So again, I know that that's not what this program is anymore in terms of being a physical beast, but it's a good reminder when you can't throw the out route because it's too windy that, hey, you might want to run the football a little bit more and not do, two-hand touch in a spring game. Nevada, your thoughts. Julian saying had some issues with the win. And to be fair, they all had issues with the win. You know, Devin Brown did, Will Howard did. Does weight room fix it? And what are your thoughts on just the elements in general? Because again, I like weather in football. I like I like the variables because I think that it's something that you better be ready for. That's just how football is. But your thoughts on it?
Well, look, the weather was an issue. I mean, it's one thing to say you should be able to play in it, you should be able to do it, but to not acknowledge it is silliness because the wind was gusting on Saturday, and it made it difficult to throw. And the great thing about this Ohio State team in 2024 is you have got the best passing concepts guy in college football in Ryan Day, and the best running guy concepts in Chip Kelly running your offense. And that has not been the case in the past. And we have been Chuck and Charlie, and that's who we were, but that's not who we are now because when you interject the quarterback run into your arsenal, when you interject the two back set into your arsenal, you interject the Chip Kelly running concepts, we're going to be more physical. We're going to be more physical in 2024. And I thought we already started to see that. I think we rushed the ball 57 times for 295 yards, 5.1 yards per carry on Saturday. So I thought we did a nice job against a really good defense in the Ohio State defense. So I think we're starting to see that. I hated the Urban Meyer Gene Smith said we talked about it yesterday. It was cringy talking about playing in a dome for the playoff. I do not like hearing that, but I think this Ohio State team is one of those rare teams that's going to be able to beat you through the air, going to be able to beat you on the ground, and going to be able to beat you with absolutely suffocating defense. And those are the teams of legend. Those are the teams that are very difficult out for other teams. It's going to be very hard for other teams even to keep up with Ohio State this year. I think Ohio State is going to be way better than even people think. I couldn't be more excited about it. I went back and watched the spring game again as well, and I'm so excited. I know the defense is going to be great, but I think the offense is going to be terrific. And I think I understand that there's people that feel differently about that, and I respect that. But man, I am not there. I think the offense is going to be top 5 in the country with a defense that's number 1 in the country, and I'm willing to go down on that ship.
I totally agree with you. I mean, I don't know how you can't watch that game and not be excited about our edge rushers with Jack Story and JT Tuimoloau, our linebackers with CJ Hicks, our corners were unbelievably good. I mean, I don't know. Like maybe I'm just pure scarlet colored glasses, but like seriously, like whose roster would you trade for right now? Like if you could swap every player on the team, like I'm not trading for Georgia's roster or Bama's roster or Texas's roster or any roster. You know, I mean, I think Texas has a better starting quarterback than we do, but I don't think they have a better defense than we do. I mean, their defense was a sieve against Washington. Oh my God. And Washington almost choked that game up, but it's like, dude, like I'm not trading for that. I love where we're sitting. I love our team. And again, if the thing that people are most worried about is the accuracy of our quarterbacks, well, guess who's going to drill those guys to absolute death this entire summer? Ryan Day. Because Ryan Day does not put up with poor quarterback play, and that's why he told Kyle McCord to go kick rocks and go to Syracuse. So, again, I'm excited about it. And honestly, I like that it wasn't all pretty and fluffy and flowery and oh my God, we're unbelievable, because that means that there's like something that you can beat on these kids for the next, till August, till they start spring ball. Hey, by the way, quarterbacks, your completion percentage on routes over 10 yards was not exactly like enthralling. Wind or not, John Elway could throw it in the wind. You guys watched the drive. He was throwing howitzers. So now, granted, he's the greatest quarterback prospect of all time. But I'm just saying, you're gonna have to throw it the wind at some point if you want to play in the National Football League or in Columbus, Ohio. Brendan Shelley.
Hold on. Before we get, they brought this up during the broadcast, but I believe they've altered the rules regarding coaching over the summer, where the coaches can interact directly with the players. And they talked about if there ever was a time when you were trying to coach up a transfer quarterback and deal directly with Ryan Day, with Chip Kelly, with the staff, and having be able to do it in continuity from the end of spring ball to the beginning of fall camp, it's now. And that's a small but underrated point. Will Howard and Devin Brown and Julian Sane and Lincoln and they're going to get coached up big time. And that's never been the case before. So it'll be interesting to see the impact to do it. But if you're giving me, give me a player like Will Howard that's had 40 starts or 50 starts or whatever it's been at Kansas State playing with inferior talent, and give me 6 months of coaching him with Chip Kelly and Ryan Day, and I think we're going to get a pretty polished product come the fall. But that seemed like a pretty profound change.
Yeah, and they've done like walkthroughs and stuff in the past. Maybe they can actually watch them throw a football. They always have like these dumb rules where it's like you can't throw a football. So we'd have these guys out there throwing tennis balls and Nerf balls. And it was like, because the NCAA is just so impossibly stupid. Because like in the NFL, you practice all summer. I'm talking, you start practice like there's some teams that are going to have mini camps maybe this weekend before the draft. The NFL used to have like, if you had a new coaching staff, they used to get 3 mini camps. So they'd usually get one pre-draft to look at the roster. And I'm telling you, like, they need to do that in college. They need to have these guys have a couple practices a week, no helmets or just in helmets, no pads, throwing the football full speed. Because I think it helps the young kids learn the playbook a lot quicker than just staring at like a playbook page. Like when you can actually go out and run it, non-contact practices, like no pads on at all, running through plays versus the defense. I think that, it'll accelerate the growth. And I don't think that there's anything, like you really can't throw and catch the ball enough, especially in the summer. So I think that, if they're enhancing that even further, because back when I played and even when I coached in 12, there was no meeting with the players. There was no, now we might have done some, but we weren't allowed to. But there were some things that, you do, and it was, I don't know. You want to get as much as you can, because it's like Urban used to always say, like, there's a 40-hour rule, but if you want to be good, there is no 40-hour rule. So you can take that for what it's worth. And again, there's a reason why, like young guys can play earlier and earlier, is because of a lot of this new legislation that's happening where these kids get developed quicker because they get all this summer work and they get all this spring work. And, again, the advent of online classes and the adoption of high schools allowing these kids to seemingly almost all graduate early is something that just didn't exist, 15, 20 years ago. And it is a huge change. That's why it's shocking now when there's when there's schools that don't allow, like with American Heritage and Brandon Ennis, and the receiver, that Mylan Graham, it's shocking when these high schools don't let these kids graduate early, because it's so prevalent now. And again, I think it's the best thing that these kids can do, because it's better to assimilate into the culture and feel like you're part of the team in January than showing up in August like I had to, and like your first day is like you're in shoulder pads and helmets and you're on the number 1 team in the country and you're trying to figure out everything. So Brendan Shelley, appreciate you, man. Thank you for the 10. Are we actively seeking tight ends? We need them. Well, like the hard part is, we took Will Kazmarek, and I think he's okay, but he wasn't first, second, or third team All-MAC last year, which is a little concerning. I think our second best tight end right now might be Patrick Gerd. Andy Gerd's kid, for those of you guys that are Ohio State aficionados. Like, he looked good. He was out there, caught the ball, had a nice catch. He's obviously our best blocker by far. And again, that room concerns me because I just don't know why Jelani Thurman isn't our best player right now in that room, because he's got the most talent by far. I'm sure Jelani's young. I'm sure he's a little bit of a fruit fly. When it comes to learning the playbook and that type of thing. Like, I've seen this movie too many times. But he's a first round pick walking around, third or fourth string right now, and it's a little bit concerning because, again, if I'm Ryan Day and Chip Kelly, I'm asking Keenan Bailey, like, why is he not our starting tight end? And I know G. Scott will be the ceremonial starting tight end because he's the senior and whatever else. But like, Jelani is an NFL guy. G really isn't. So I think that I think if the right tight end came in the portal, it would make sense. But yeah, you're kind of hamstrung when you take a kid from the MAC, who I'm sure he'll have some sort of role blocking and playing special teams or whatever. I don't know if you could take another guy. And now, of course, if Loveland comes in the fold, then I'm emptying the clip to get that kid because I think he's fantastic. But that'd be an interesting one. But again, we don't traditionally use tight ends either. So I think it might be a harder sell to get a kid who's a star tight end to come here and be the fifth option in the passing attack. But what are your thoughts, Nevada? Are we actively seeking tight ends? And he also pleads that we need them, which I totally agree with you, Brennan.
Well, we're actively seeking anybody that can help us. I mean, that is the stated position. That's what the agents are telling me, is that Ohio State is telling them that they're actively looking for any player that can help them at any point in the field. So it certainly would include tight end. To your point, though, I think it's an underrated one and a really good one, though, is Ohio State's, as for tight ends, is a tough sell. It's not like, DBU or wide receiver U or quarterback U or running back U or offensive line U or whatever U. Tight end U, we ain't. And a lot of those tight ends are aware of that. They're aware of, they're waiting to see, how Chip Kelly integrates the tight end into this Ohio State offense. But it's a tough sell. So, will we be looking? Sure. Will we have success? You never want to be negative, but I would say that, my degree of confidence of us landing a top-notch tight end in the portal is probably low, and I reserve the right to change my mind and to be pleasantly surprised by something that happens. But if I had to bet, I bet that we're going with the crew that we have, and like you said, they've got Gerd in kind of that Mitch Rossi role right now, where they're kind of playing him at tight end, they're playing him at fullback, they're kind of moving around doing some stuff with him, and I like stuff like that. I like guys like Gerd. I like players like Brennan Schramm, who I talk about a lot. But not every guy has to be a 5-star. Not every guy has to be the highly recruited guy. I love those kids that just come out and grind. Those Mike Nees, those Tank Whaleys, those Xavier Johnsons. Those guys have a role in the team, and those guys can play and make. I mean, Mitch Rossi made mighty contributions to Ohio State as a completely unknown player, and so I love when fans write guys off. They're like, this guy will never contribute. He wasn't a 5-star. He wasn't a highly touted recruit. He's just a walk on. Man, those guys have a role, and they've played big roles in Ohio State, in the Ohio State's past, and they'll play it in the future. But Gerd could be a guy to watch that could make some contributions. Good player, and they clearly like him as well.
Well, I think that, again, like, he's reliable. You have to remember, Mitch Rossi was so highly thought of that he was the running back on the very last play of C.J. Stroud's career. Playing Georgia, he was the guy they had on the field next to C.J. Stroud. We're trying to win a national championship in that 1-4 game that you guys all remember, obviously down in the Mercedes-Benz Dome. He was the running back in the game. And I was like, imagine you're Mitch Rossi and you show up as a walk-on, and then 5 years later, you're sitting that you're the guy, not Trey. I think Trey was dinged up, and we're down to Chip Trainum or whoever our other running backs were. But Mitch was the guy they had it in pass protection when we needed it the most, with DeWan and all those guys, and he held up. He did a good job. He was ferocious when he played, and he's the guy that we need. And again, your point about not everybody needs a 5-star, it's more like not everybody can be a 5-star, because if you have nothing but 5 stars, it doesn't work. You need guys that are role players, guys that are happy to do dirty work, because a lot of these 5-star kids don't want to get their nails dirty. They don't want to break a nail, so you can't put them all out there because they don't want to cover on punt team, and they don't want to do. They don't want to play teams, aka special teams. This is not in their blood. So you need some gritty dudes, and I think that's what Patrick Gerd is. And again, you need guys like that. Those are the glue to the roster. Buckeye Blitz, thank you for the 5. Thank you for setting up the massive meetup. And again, that's Andy. Andy Jones Taylor's dad coined that, so that's going to be what we're going to call these meetups now. It's more fun than I could have imagined. Cannot wait for the next one. Thank you to everyone who came. Nevada OH. Nevada, are you mad you missed the meetup? The meetup was pretty fun.
Well, what have I told you guys that I was actually there, but that you guys just
weren't there.
Didn't describe it. Like, you don't even know that. You don't even know. I could have been there and you didn't even know. And at the next meetup, we're probably going to have a Where's Nevada type of thing where I'm going to be there. We're not going to identify me, and you're going to have to find me like a Where's Waldo thing. So I could very well have been there on Saturday. You just didn't know because you were so busy sweating and acting like Patrick Starfish there from SpongeBob. Went up there and shaking everybody's hand. You were dying. I saw it. I didn't want to say anything to you, but I saw it.
Oh God, I was like, I was dying, and I mean, I stood for like 3 hours. Man, I was in there, I was hanging in there, hanging and banging. But yeah, I can't wait for you to come, man, because your line's gonna be twice as long as mine, and we're gonna have to put an IV in your veins to keep you alive, to keep you from turning into the Crypt Keeper. But Buckeye Blitz invited me to his wedding, so I was like, "Hey, we bring
very nice."
That might be the next massive meetup. It might be Buckeye Blitz's wedding in Findlay, Ohio. That'd be hilarious.
You and I could be like the wedding crashers. You and I could just go there and crash the wedding.
Could you imagine how funny that would be if we showed up? Oh my God, that'd be amazing.
We'll bring Paterick with us too.
We'll bring Paterick, Arnold, the whole crew's coming. We're gonna have the whole Scoop ownership is coming up to that. It's gonna be great. ZZM, thank you for being a Scoop Ultra member. It's great seeing you as well on Saturday. Thank you for the 5. Uncle Luke called our spring game an unwatchable pillow fight. Did he really? That's hilarious. I don't take the spring game too seriously, but is this an exaggeration? Do you agree? I mean, I'll be honest, and again, I say it every week, and I get made fun of in the commentary when I say I'm being the old head, but like, it is really unwatchable. It's really hard to watch because it's literally like, we don't even tackle anymore. I mean, how can we? I mean, people pay $10 and they bring their kids, and we don't even tackle guys anymore. It's just not, it's a quick whistle, and it's not a game. It's just whatever. We can't. I mean, our poor defense can't even run back a pick 6 anymore because they've got cameras all in the middle of the field, and it's just like, I don't know what it's turned into, but I hate it. And Urban started doing it like when he said, "Oh, we're not going to tackle anymore," and everybody stays up. We're gonna play music the whole time. I'm like, that's fine. I just don't, I watch it to see schematic stuff and again, we don't show hardly anything schematically. We barely blitz. We might have blitzed one time the whole game, and we probably run 10% of our playbook. We run all remedial stuff that guys know. There's no game planning involved. And like I said, when I coached there for 3 years and played there, when I played there, we never watched the spring game. Like normally after every single game, you sit down as an O-line, a wide receiver room. We sit down and grade it and watch it. We never watched the spring game a single time. And then when we were our coaching staff, we never graded the spring game. So that's how little is placed on the spring game. But yeah, it is pretty unwatchable. I'm not going to lie. But here's the thing. At this time of the year, when the other options are baseball and like XFL football, like I will eat that up all day. I will watch every minute of it because there's nothing else to watch. But, I wish that they would tackle, it'd be more physical, but it is what it is. It's a long season and I know everybody's scared of injury, but that's just my opinion. Nevada, your thoughts on Uncle Lou Holtz calling our spring game an unwatchable pillow fight. And ZCM says he doesn't take the game too seriously, but is this an exaggeration? And do you agree, Nevada?
No. I look, Uncle Lou, I love Lou Holtz. I wish Lou Holtz had been the head coach at Ohio State when Woody was unceremoniously shown out. I don't think he wanted to replace the legend, and Again, great Buckeye, great college football coach, but now he's an unwatchable pillow fight mess. And he's all about shtick and saying outrageous things to tick off Ohio State fans. And I'll be honest with you, I thought the spring game on Saturday was completely watchable, and I enjoyed it. And I haven't felt that way about a spring game in a long time. And I think a lot of the criticisms of spring games are valid, and I understand them. And I was absolutely riveted on Saturday. I thought it was a good product. I thought it was well presented. I thought Fox did a nice job, and I thought the team did a nice job. And I thought I got a real sense of the quality of Ohio State on both sides of the ball, and I thought it was well done. And that's my honest opinion. And if it wasn't, I tell you, because I've seen some bad spring games, and the 6-3 game, the Justin Fields' first game at Ohio State in his spring game was just terrible. Just the whole day was just terrible. Saturday wasn't. Saturday was fun. Saturday was a lot of fun, and so no, do not agree with Uncle Lou. And there was tackling in the second half. The running backs were getting taken down, and I thought that was good. And we got a little sense of how things were going. And no, I enjoyed it. Final answer.
To be fair, you also thought Napoleon was good, so take that for what it's worth, folks.
Oh, it's like that. Now that was an unwatchable mess. Even though I went there to eat the popcorn. It was a long movie. I could see it, but yeah, that was bad, man. Oh man, bad movie.
4 hours. That's like two large popcorn refills, and at least
you have to go get the refill during that thing. You have to go to the bathroom and go get a refill during that movie. Exactly.
Like when you get the big tub, do you like drop the popcorn off and then go to the bathroom and wash your hands and then like head back in? Is that how you do it when you get the big tub? Because everyone knows that you get the big tub of popcorn.
No, I do. I do. Sometimes I'll get like 2 tubs of popcorn so I can pour like half of it in the other thing, and I can put the butter and the salt in and then mix it up between the thing. And I'm always shaking it, so I'm going. And my kids are like, "Hey, Dad, quit shaking your popcorn right now. You're disturbing everybody in theater." And I'm like, "I've got to distribute the butter and the salt, distributed through the thing." So, hey, it's what I do.
It's gotta coat the arteries like evenly. That's the most important part. Like maracas. Oh my god!
Exactly.
Anything to make Funky mad. I love it.
Oh, I did.
Funky, your alter AI ego, Funky.
He gets so mad when I shake that popcorn.
Oh, but it makes the popcorn taste so much better.
Oh, it's so great. And the goobers and then a Coke. Like, oh man, I may go to the movies tonight just to get that. I'm so hungry right now.
There won't even be a movie on the screen. You're just gonna sit in the empty theater and just eat the popcorn.
I don't even care.
Exactly. Can I rent the theater and watch Lou Holtz's analysis of the spring game?
I would watch anything. I would watch anything. I would watch Mark May. I'd watch it. It's like the good popcorn, goobers, and a Coke. Man, I'm there.
Tony Stott, thanks for being a Scoop Ultra member. Appreciate you, my friend. Thank you for the 5. Speaking of that team up north, one of my favorite T-shirts worn today was real. Ann Arbor is a not nice lady. I've seen that one a lot. I think I actually bought that one in high school. The Ann Arbor is not a nice lady is a very popular shirt around campus. I don't know if we'll be printing that, but I also think that it is pretty funny. I mean, like people, these people that make these pirated T-shirts, they always are pretty creative with the graphics that they use. And I've seen cartoon Brutus in some very compromising positions with Michigan cheerleaders, and I'm like, God bless, man. There's like little kids walking around. A cartoon Brutus. I'm like, Jesus. Like someone's like, can you imagine the guy who's like sitting on the computer and he's got his little Photoshop in, and I'm sure he's got like a vape pen with THC, and he said that he's like let's design the anime Michigan cheerleader and Brutus. Ooh, yeah, let's do. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, what are you, like 8 years old? Yeah. What font should we use for what it says? Okay, let's use Helvetica 73 or 72 font. Perfect. Ooh, should we bold it too? Oh yeah, let's do the bold. That really drives the point home of who Ann Arbor is. So, but man, it's like those guys, like they get real creative with those little graphics. But God bless them, because they're out there hustling those $20 T-shirts that like disintegrate as soon as you wash them one time. But when I was in high school, I might have bought one of them. Shot clock Todd, thank you for the 5. What they should do is play against like the University of Toledo as an exhibition. Nevada, what are your thoughts on that? Because I go back and forth. Like, I think it'd be fun. It kind of be like what they do in South Florida, where they'll have like 2 high schools scrimmage, and it's like a real thing. Like kind of like in Ohio, Ohio high school, where they have like a scrimmage or whatever. Like they have a couple scrimmages before they have week 1 in August. Like that's a possibility. I don't know, how do you control it? Like I think the hardest part for a guy like Ryan Day is like, like you want this to be a controlled thing, and as soon as you bring in another coach, another team, you get a couple try hard D linemen or O linemen, and one of your guys gets hurt. Like that's a recipe for disaster, I think. Which is probably why nobody does it. Obviously, it's not legal, but what are your thoughts on that, Nevada? Shot clock Tagas, and this is another good question. Should they play like a back team as an exhibition?
Well, I think it's look at what the NFL does. Okay, the NFL plays these exhibition games, and if you're a season ticket holder for an NFL team, you have to buy the exhibition games as part of your season ticket package and what you're doing, and you're paying for that stuff. And I think this is absolutely inevitable. I think it's the next big thing in college football. Why? It's more programming. I mean, if you have Ohio State playing whomever in the spring, and that doesn't mean you can't have your own little spring game where you do your controlled scrimmage thing, just like the old spring games of old. But now you have an exhibition game. Maybe you have 2 exhibition games. Maybe you have 3 exhibition games. I mean, it's really unlimited what you could do. And when you talk about the amount of money that you could generate from these things, I think it's the next big idea in college football. Personally, um, is exhibition games as broadcast product, because I know I'd watch. I know a lot of people would watch, and um, yeah, I think the coaches would get a lot out of the games, and with the amount of money that, I mean, look at the Big Ten. The Big Ten championship game was a completely made up, made for television type of an event, and it's turned into this indispensable moneymaker for schools. I think exhibition games is the future. I really do.
Totally agree. JC Sheldon, for all you women's basketball fans, just went 5th overall to the Dallas Wings in the WNBA draft. For all you keeping scores at home, Nevada probably had a hefty wager on over under whatever pick she would have gone at. So I think that's higher than most of the box had her.
I had Caitlin Clark as the first pick. That was my prediction. And
minus 50 million.
Well, I think this is probably the first time in the history of the world that we've ever discussed the WNBA draft on our show. But
there's no doubt. I mean, there's never. It's weird because like I feel like there's been girls that have been as good as her, but there's never been one who's been as like marketable. I don't know what it is. I know she's a scorer, but it's like nobody's ever cared about women's basketball until she showed up, and all of a sudden it's like it's on ESPN, and can you imagine if you own that franchise? If you're the Indiana, whatever they are, and you just happen to have the Fever, you just happen to draft her. You're just like, oh my god, like
it's a lot. It's a lottery ticket. It's like the Cavs getting LeBron.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. You go from a big empty arena to packed house every night. Plus, when you go on the road show's going to go ballistic. So, hey, whatever it takes. God bless her, and hopefully they make it a thing. Dub v Buckeye, it was great seeing you on Saturday as well. Thank you for the 10. Get ready. The 5-10 hammer is about to be dropped in Ann Arbor. If you think the NCAA is not watching the situation up here, you're fooled. No integrity from the ones who are supposed to be adults. I totally agree. And like, what is Ward Manuel doing right now? Like, I mean, don't you think you're gonna go in there and say, "Hey guys, like, can you stop doing dumb stuff like in the off hours of you being here?" Because that's what's crazy to me. I mean, they just keep this thing rolling along, and I agree. Nevada, your thoughts on the lack of integrity at the University of Michigan? Because I mean, I just can't believe any of these guys. I mean, I wouldn't even leave my house unless I was at the facility with these guys. But it's my opinion. Your thoughts?
Yeah, it's an athletic program that's out of control. It's just Ward Manuel sold his soul for winning. He allowed all the stuff to go on, not only with the football program, with the basketball program, with the ice hockey program. He sold his soul for winning was the most important thing. And while winning, we all love to win, and winning is important. But like, you can't just completely crush your program in order to win and overlook the type of stuff, the sexual assaults, the multiple driving under the influence, the physical assaults, by the cheating by your coaches. I mean, just it goes on. It's just such a long list, but I think this is going to be more fuel for the fire for their very, very, very active members of the governing board of the University of Michigan that want Ward Manuel out, that dream every day of ways to get rid of him. And I think this is going to provide more fodder for them. And it's a program that's spiraling out of control. And we have a front row seat and we're watching it. And like I said, you have a chance to profit by it. You can profit betting on Michigan's downfall. So take advantage of it. Gambling is now legal in the state of Ohio. So if you're not making money off of it, you have no one to blame but yourself.
Yeah, I totally agree. Jack Hollis, thank you for the 5. Denard didn't just fail his sobriety test; he stripped over shoelaces. Seriously, if you had to coach up there, you drink too. Flying Rev. Yeah, I mean they know what's coming. So again, I think it's I don't know. Like it's just amazing that a month after a guy gets fired and loses his job, he loses his job up there, and all of a sudden he ends up being the Denard gets banged and. It'll be interesting to see if they fire him. I mean, honestly, he's obviously got a little bit more of a runway at Michigan, but
he's gone, dude. He is. So
you think he's getting fired?
He is. He has to fire him, and it wasn't a month; it was 3 weeks, and he has to fire him. There's absolutely no chance that Denard Robinson survives this. Zero chance. I will book that at minus 10,000 odds that Denard Robinson fires. There's no chance. That is a greater chance of happening than Caitlin Clark being passed over by the first 5 teams and the Las Vegas Aces getting her at the 72 spot or something like that. So, nope, Denard, you're gone. We hardly knew you. See you later, Denard.
It's been real. It's been fun. It has not been real fun.
Real fun.
Brennan,
I'm shaking my popcorn right now.
Brennan Shelley, thank you for the 5. That one-handed catch by JJ had me thinking Marvin Harrison. Who did JJ get one too, or are you talking Emeka's? Emeka had the one on the sideline on Saturday, unless JJ had another one. But they both do. I mean, I think JJ is going to be better than Marvin. I really do. I think that Marvin. I don't think Marvin's as physical as JJ. And again, Marvin when he was a freshman wasn't even in the mix. Like JJ is going to be our number 1 receiver this year, like in my opinion. So I think that JJ is going to be, and again, that's what I just said. That's what I gave the little spiel about, hey, we replaced Woody Hayes, Jim Tressel, Urban Meyer, Orlando Pace, Archie Griffin, Eddie George, like Troy Smith, like Troy Smith leaves and, we get Terrell Pryor. So I mean, it's just like, there's always someone next. And like, even as great as Marvin was, won the Blitnikoff, like people aren't like devastated. They're not like, oh my God, how are we going to survive without Marvin Harrison? Like, well, so we got JJ Smith. Like, I mean, have you seen this kid? It's credit to Brian Hartline, it's credit to Ryan Day and Chip Kelly, but that kid's the deal. Nevada, your thoughts? Did that one-handed catch by JJ, which I think you mean Emeka, but I could be wrong. But JJ obviously had some dominating plays that went viral in the spring. Did they have you thinking Marvin Harrison who?
Yeah, well, yeah, you're exactly right. Emeka made the one-handed catch in the spring game. JJ's made a bunch of them during spring practice. But JJ, the thing that's differentiating about JJ over Marvin, and again, you're talking about, Marvin Harrison might be the best wide receiver that's ever played at Ohio State, and now 1 year later we got a guy who might be better. It's top end speed. It's ability to take the top off the dude. Marvin wasn't a traditional field stretcher. He wasn't a guy that would just blow it off the top. Great wide receiver. I think surefire All Pro. I don't know if I'm going to say NFL Hall of Fame, but he's gonna play in the NFL for a long time, and absolutely certain draft pick that's going to be very productive. But JJ's better, and JJ, when you have that field stretching element, when you have that guy that can take the top off, get those 70, 80-yard scores, that just adds another dimension. And as you said, JJ's doing it as a true freshman. Marvin didn't even really play much until the Rose Bowl, until Garrett and Olave opted out, and I had predicted 3 touchdown passes for him in the Rose Bowl, and he caught 3 touchdown passes, which was one of the crazy predictions of all time. But no, JJ is gonna take the top off defenses all year long, and that's going to enable other guys to feast. So yeah, it's an embarrassment of riches at the wide receiver position.
Yeah, it's gonna be absolutely crazy. Pooh Beer, what's up, brother? Pooh Beer 12, thanks for being ultra next for the deuce. Oh god, this is great. I think Scum staff misunderstood beat Georgia. Well, I mean, I think they're beating them this offseason. I mean, Georgia, they set the record for vehicular. I mean, they were atrocious. But again, I know obviously we're talking about staff members here, but I don't think it's a good idea to put a bunch of 18-year-old kids in Hellcats. But again, what do I know about being around 18-year-old football players that, go out and party a little too much? But we've dodged it, which is, it's good. But I mean, I don't know if kids need to drive 800 horsepower cars as their first vehicles. Some of these kids got up here, they didn't even know how to drive, and we handed the keys to a Hellcat, which is like, okay. Like, I mean, I don't know. Maybe I was born yesterday, but Nevada, your thoughts. Poobier says that's a great thing. Scum misunderstood beat Georgia, but
yeah, Georgia's had quite a run. They've had quite a run in the vehicular problems category. But Michigan, like I said, Michigan's coming on like a hurricane. You got to respect their commitment to this type of transgression, and I mean, 2 felony types of stops here within 3 weeks. So, I really respect the effort by Michigan and think they're going to continue this on through the 2024 because they've shown no sign of stopping. That's for sure.
Yeah, I totally agree. Tom Gombar, thank you for the 5. Appreciate you, my friend. Thanks for being on here. Nevada, what is the timeline for both Scum investigations? Nevada OH. Timeline predictions? I know you love doing those.
Boy, man, I always say timing these things is always dicey because inevitably it's hard enough to get the information right, let alone get the information right and time it on top of that too. I've been saying March, April, which we're into April for the dropping of letter of allegation 2. I don't know if that's been delayed due to the expansion of the NCAA investigation to Michigan, which I know has happened. I know they've assigned additional investigators to the case. I don't know if that's going to change it. The last information I had is that it seemed like the letter of allegation was imminent, so I'm going to stick with it. I think it's the letter of allegation 2, not letter of allegation 1, which is the cheeseburger one. Letter of allegation 2, which is the largest cheating scandal in the history of college football. I will say will drop here shortly. I'm going to say in the next 30 days, maybe in the next 2 weeks. But I'm going to continue to monitor my NCAA contacts in Indy and see what they're saying. But it's happening and it's coming, and right soon.
Yeah, I agree. It's hard to time these things up, but it'll be it's coming. I can't wait for it. Well, Nevada, we can wrap this thing up. Another good, almost 90-minute show. Whew, time flies, guys. Appreciate you guys. Final thoughts, Nevada.
No, just if you can leave us a like on the way out the door, we'd really appreciate it. It's just the little thumbs up thing. Just hit the little thumbs up. Helps other people find the show. Helps other people get it recommended into their feed. And we just appreciate you guys kicking it with us. And Michigan, I want to say a sincere thank you to the University of Michigan for providing us with material on a day like this, because you're like, there's lots of things to talk about, lots of good things to talk about, and then the director of player personnel leaves Michigan, and then Denard Robinson delivers once again with the driving under the influence, and thank you, and again, I know, like I said, I don't know how sincere Kirk is, but on behalf of Nevadabuck, I am sincerely appreciative of your efforts to provide us with great podcasting material. You guys never disappoint. Keep it up. And if you can give us something better for tomorrow night, I'll salute you once again.
And Nevada, there was also an announcement today that I wanted to get your take on before we ring off here. Texas and Ohio State, the Popcorn Bandit, will meet at a neutral site game at T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas on November 4th, which is my birthday, to open the 2024-2025 college basketball season, according to multiple sources. One, is that something that we should go to? And two, if we went, would we actually go to the game?
No, we would not go to the game. We should go. We should not. We not go to the game. That sounds like Boom Boom. That's got to be a Boom Boom production, right?
Oh, that is a Boom Boom production. That's what I was calling you. I was like, we gotta get Boom Boom activated because this isn't this November. This is in 2 years. So I mean,
and we have 2 years to go. Yeah. I mean, hey, I wish I could be more excited about November college basketball, but is there anything less meaningful than November college basketball? No. I mean, exhibition football against Toledo would be more meaningful than November basketball. But going to Vegas is always fun.
Easily. As I say, I don't even care. I mean, I don't even care about the basketball game. What made you think I cared about the basketball game? I just happened to say it was on my birthday as a sign from God.
I think that is a sign. That's definitely a sign that we need to go for sure. So I'm in, man. Let's go. I may go early, like a year.
Like a year early to scout it out.
Scout it out. You never know, man. Just can't be too careful.
Can't be too careful. Oh my God, I love it. All right, we'll wrap this thing up. Appreciate you guys as always. Thank you for another great show and kicking with us. Thank you for the great questions. It was great to be here, and it's also great to have you guys along with us for the ride. So we appreciate you guys. If you guys enjoy this content, please leave us a like, click subscribe, also click that little alert bell. Again, we appreciate it. The chat is absolutely on fire. You guys are cracking me up as always, so I appreciate you guys always kicking it and keeping the chat moving. Thank you to the Wrench crew, Akeem, aka Treasure the Torah, also Kimmy, she's in here. Devin, Ohio 7715. Thank you guys for doing everything and keeping it nice and clean and bolting all the bad people. Appreciate you. Thank you guys again for the Saturday meetup. It was incredible. We had a great time, and we'll be doing one again very soon. So if you missed it, do not be sad. We will do another one because people really want to do another one. So I appreciate all of the excitement around it. And we've smashed everything, man. We finished #1 in the country for sales for that Buffalo Wild Wings out of all the locations in the entire country. The one that we were at sold the most stuff. So congratulations and thank you for that. It was a massive success thanks to you guys. So I appreciated meeting all you guys, everybody hanging out, everybody getting to know each other. It was great. So as always, thank you so much. Shout out where you guys are watching from. Shout out who you guys are watching with. And yeah, I'm just excited to see what goes on in this portal tomorrow. So we're going to have another huge show tomorrow. Be going at 7 again tomorrow. Be ready to rock and see you guys then. So thank you so much, Buckeye Nation. Thank you, Scoop family. I'm going to talk to you guys tomorrow. You guys have a great night. Go Bucks.